Welcome back, you dirty MAGA-loving motherfuckers. We have a hilarious story here today. I'm sure you guys have heard about this. The stock for GameStop, as well as BlackBerry and AMC, have been manipulated by a group of absolute mad lads over on the subreddit Wall Street Bets. Now, what they're doing is they are squeezing the shorts of hedge funds, and this is a brilliant move that is coming out with hilarious consequences for all of these billionaires on Wall Street and everything like that. The way that a short works, what a hedge fund will do is they'll take a company that they don't like and they will borrow the stocks from somebody at, say, $10 a piece. They will sell them all off, and then they will get, of course, their corrupt cronies in the media to create a panic sell of that stock. So regular average Joe ends up panic selling for, say, a 20 to 30% loss, depending on how quickly they sell, or however much they end up losing. And then when it tanks out, when the price of the stock bottoms out, the company that started the short will buy it all back up at a lower price, bump that stock price back up, and then give the shares back to the original stockholder that they loaned it from. It's essentially a way that the elites and the billionaires on Wall Street extract wealth from everyday citizens, from people. So maybe you had some of that in your IRA, your retirement fund. Well, all of a sudden, you don't have that anymore. They have extracted that from you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a capitalist. I believe in the free market systems through and through, and that we should all be able to make our own money, not have to pay exorbitant taxes. But when you have these billionaires that are able to absolutely game the system so that they can extract the wealth from everyday people, well, no, that's not a conservative position to take. I'm not sure what you're conserving by allowing those sort of practices to run rampant in our financial institutions. So this has really been hilarious, and you see them all panicking. And probably the funniest thing to see is that we now have them accusing everyday small-time people of manipulating the marketplace, manipulating the stock market, when in the meantime, we've had all of these hedge funds that manage billions and billions of dollars and essentially decide our financial landscape. They've been manipulating the market through strategies like these short sells for years. So it's really not only taking it to these hedge fund managers, but it's also really exposing the double standard and where the interest truly lies. So it has been absolutely okay for these billionaires and these hedge fund managers to manipulate the stock market for their own gain. But the minute we the hoi polloi fight back and do our own thing and collectively band together and say, no, you're not going to do this, we're going to make money off you now, all of a sudden it is a major problem. So of course they're going to strike back against us, because it's perfectly okay that these hedge fund billionaires are manipulating the stock market, but the second we do it and we profit off of them, all of a sudden you see the government jump in and they've got to regulate. They have got to step in and make sure that we, the hoi polloi, don't ever make a profit off of the billionaires. It is the billionaires' job to make profits off of us while extracting our wealth from us. So we have this from MSN. One government official is calling for a month-long halt to trading of the company's shares. Barron's reports that Secretary of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, William Galvin, wants a 30-day trading suspension, remarking, "Small and unsophisticated investors are probably going to get hurt by this." Yes, we the people are the small and unsophisticated investors. All you really have to do is look at the way that they talk about us to know how that they feel about us. They think we are small, we think we are unsophisticated, and we think we just need the table scraps. Give us the table scraps. Give us our $600 check. Give us our $1,400 check that comes later. Just a little bit of table scraps so that we can eat. Meanwhile, we have seen through this entire COVID lockdown the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. I was going to talk about it on my live stream the other day, but I ended up not getting to it, where the top 10 billionaires have amassed more than $500 billion in profits over the last year because of this COVID lockdown. That is all this has done. It has shut down Main Street and put all of the money into the major corporations. Now, what's crazy is that these people actually have us sounding like the left used to sound like. But I mean, as a populist, as somebody who thinks that our policies should actually represent the people, not just the elites of this country, it's not really a left-wing proposition. It is really just one of the health of our people. We need to be able to make money. That's why I believe in free market capitalism, but when it's rigged against us, when it's rigged by the billionaires in order so that they can extract our wealth for their own profit anytime they want, because that's what a short sell is. You got to realize all that market value lost that they end up buying it back up on, that's money out of your pocket. That's perfectly okay for the people in Washington and all of these state governments. But the second it goes the other way, now they need to step in. So Galvin continued. He says the New York Stock Exchange ought to simply consider suspending it for a month and stop trading it, and that there is no rational basis for this run-up. He offers the opinion that GameStop's current trading needs some regulatory intervention. And an example needs to be made of GameStop to prevent similar occurrences. So the second we band together and try to stop one of these companies, one of these hedge funds, from trying to extract the wealth from regular people by shorting something that they might have stock in, lowering the cost of it, forcing you to sell at a loss, well, all of a sudden, an example needs to be made of us. Listen to the diction. Listen to the language that they use. They hate us. They want to punish us. Anytime we, the people, exert power as we, the people, it's time for them to come down and punish us. That is their mentality. That is their mindset. That is what they believe in. So conversely, Barron's also says many small individual investors have profited immensely from the trading. Yeah, some people have made millions of dollars doing this. Regular, everyday people making millions of dollars, and of course, they're pissed off because the hedge funds are losing money in this deal. So, greatly changing their financial fortunes. CNBC reports that more than 3 million people now use the Wall Street Bets Reddit chat room, which is, yeah, I joined on it. I mean, if you're going to have a bunch of everyday people that are going to use the system that these hedge fund managers in Wall Street exploit for their own profits to our detriment, and there's a place where we can come together and use their system against them, then by all means, yeah, I'm on board. So some say the squeeze enabled regular people to profit from a system they claim the short sellers exploit by building up excessive short positions that artificially drive down the share value. So yeah, it's totally okay for these massive wealthy people to drive down the share of a stock, causing us regular people to lose. But the second we do it and drive it up, forcing the short sellers to lose, well, all of a sudden, now we've got to be made an example of. So Galvin claims his 30-day trading halt would protect small investors out of their depth. Oh, he's just seeking to protect the small investors who are out of their depth. And hints that larger players could be covertly, even illegally manipulating the situation to their advantage. Sure, that might be the case, but they're going to try to sell this as they're trying to protect us. Meanwhile, they do absolutely nothing to protect us from the sharks in the water. Yet that we jump into the water and all of a sudden it's, no, you can't be in the water. You're going to drown. You're small. You're unsophisticated. You're out of your depth. No, fuck you. If we're able to game the system as the little guy and beat and take down the big guy, then you better fucking believe we're going to do it. And you're not going to fucking stop us. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some risks involved in this. This could end up burning people, but guess what? Any sort of investment without any risk, there is no reward. So you do stand a chance of losing because one of two things can happen. The price is artificially pumped up and then all of a sudden it bottoms out because GameStop doesn't do anything to back up its new market share, and then everybody, the value tanks, and some people are stuck holding that potato. But the other thing, GameStop very well could take this new infusion of massive amounts of money and put on some sort of online forum or do something that reinvigorates their business model and makes them a profitable company again. And then everybody who banded together to save this company now has a profitable stake in a company that's making them money, and they are now way better off financially than they were 72 fucking hours ago. You never know how it's going to play out. It could play out any single way, but it could be on GameStop and some of these other companies that they prop up to actually use this new infusion of cash to readjust their business model and become once again profitable. This doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to get burned. I mean, very well could, but that's a risk anybody's willing to take. And when you do it this way, we have a whole bunch of people that are pumping in little bits of money. Say, people got their stimulus check. They say, I don't really need a stimulus check. I'll just put my $600 to GameStop right now. Well, they're not really going to lose out much. They're not going to lose out $3 billion like this Melvin Financial, who is now begging for bailouts. I mean, they could end up going bankrupt over this one fucking deal, which, good, all for it. But I think the funniest thing around all of this has been the new press secretary, Jen Psaki's response to it. Now, I don't know. I've been... There's already a montage floating around of all the times Jen Psaki answers a question in a press conference saying, "Oh, well, we'll circle back around to it. We'll circle back around to it." It's like 12 times. She's been on the job for like a week, and there's already these montages of her repeating the same evasive answers time and time again. But she was asked about this whole GameStop thing, and her response was, I mean, it's as typical as you could get from a fucking Democrat or a leftist. She said, the first thing she says is, "Well, I'm also happy to repeat that we have the first female Treasury Secretary and a team that's surrounding her and often questions about markets." I think she said, "We'll send to them." But first points out, I'm just happy to repeat that we have the first female Treasury Secretary. Bitch, nobody cares. This is why you're useless for your job. Nobody gives a fuck that we have the first female Treasury Secretary, and that has absolutely nothing to do with what is going on with GameStop. It's this fucking empty virtue signaling. Empty virtue signaling, and they're all about it. And when asked about the steep stock Dow decline, Psaki responded with a confusing excuse. "It's a good reminder that the stock market is not the only measure of the health of our economy," she said, "and it does not reflect how working and middle-class families are doing." Wait, what? Yeah, does she not realize that most working and middle-class families have their retirements tied up in the stock market? And I mean, sure, it's not the only measure. It's not the only measure. But what are you saying, that middle-class and working-class families have no stake in the stock market? This is the condescending way in which they think of us. They think we're nothing. They think we're nothing. And that's such a confusing and muddled response that it just doesn't make any sense. And it really goes to show that the economic illiteracy has seeped all the way in. I mean, of course, we've known that the economic illiteracy has seeped into our government. I've always just been under the assumption that our government is, and the people that represent us are not actually economically illiterate. They just believe that we are, and so they manipulate us by saying economically illiterate statements. But anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I'm going to start doing more of these short-form videos just so I can upload to Gab TV and other places. I'm going to be doing probably a few of them a day, maybe not on days that I live stream, but I'm only going to be putting one of them up on YouTube. The rest of them are going to be going up on Gab TV, BitChute, and Rumble. So make sure you follow me on those other platforms, or you will not be getting all of my content. Also, YouTube did just demonetize me. So if you would, just yesterday they demonetized me. So if you would like to contribute to the channel, there are links to my PayPal and my Subscribestar down in the description below. And as always, guys, rev your engines, ride hard, and fight like hell.
Every time who I am, well,